My name is Rachel. I think I've been living a fairly normal and happy life for 15 years since getting married. Our only daughter has grown up healthy, without any significant illnesses, and is a junior high school student who is dedicated to her extracurricular activities. I thought life would continue this way and eventually, it would just be my husband and me again. That's what I believed. However, one day, my ex-husband Jason suddenly dropped a bombshell. As a result, we ended up divorcing, and it's been 10 years. It was such a dramatic divorce that I have no clue, nor do I want to know, what Jason is doing now. He seems to still be working, but I have no desire to see him. Any affection was completely shattered. I know that if we ever meet again, memories of those times would come flooding back, and it would be unbearable. That's why I never wanted to see him again in my life. But fate sometimes plays tricks, and we met again when I entered a jewelry store. Hey, isn't that Rachel? I turned around, my face contorting. After all, I had run into the last person I wanted to see. What, even someone poor like you, thinks about buying jewelry? It's been a while. What are you doing here? I'm working. Weren't you at the headquarters? They needed help at the store, and someone with my expertise was necessary. I see, you were involved in the jewelry business. Yes, exactly. I'm expanding the jewelry shop business. My wife is the daughter of the CEO. I see, it was here then. And get this, my wife is going to become the CEO. The CEO of this company? That's right. My father-in-law has chosen my wife as the next one. It should be decided at the next shareholders meeting. Then I'll be the CEO's husband. Finally, my efforts will be rewarded. What efforts, I wonder? 10 years ago on that day, this man brought his mistress and revealed she was pregnant. My mistress. He said it proudly. Mistress? What does that mean? As a housewife who lived only for her family, I was shocked. I never imagined my husband could cheat on me while I was spinning like a top, managing all the household chores for the sake of our daughter. A mistress is a mistress. And she's not just any mistress. Evelyn here is the CEO's daughter of the company I work for. The CEO's daughter is your mistress? Isn't that problematic? It's problematic to continue like this as a mistress. That's why I decided to remarry. But you're already married, isn't that impossible? A divorce will settle it. It's simple. He said and produced the divorce papers with Jason's name on it. I was devastated by this impossible reality. Evelyn is carrying my child. I have to remarry, especially since it's a boy. He's bound to become the CEO in the future. My future is secure. But we haven't decided on a divorce yet. Your opinion doesn't change that a divorce is certain. Especially since Evelyn is pregnant. But we have a child at home too, right? A girl, right? Besides, if I stay with you, I'll be employed forever. But marrying Evelyn, whose parent is the CEO, I might take over in the future. Even if not, entering the board is guaranteed. So, you're telling me to split because you struck gold? And you're willing to abandon your own child for that? Sacrifices are a part of pursuing happiness. Why? How did you two end up together? It was curious. My husband didn't seem like exceptional material for the CEO's daughter to marry. I thought he had no chance of advancing. Well, we're in the same department, and after helping out with Evelyn's work, we started dining together. We felt a connection, and love blossomed. Love? Yes, love. The child in her womb is a product of our love. As harsh as it may sound, I no longer feel love for you. It's better for both of us to split rather than live a loveless marriage. Jason seemed pleased, as if he did nothing wrong. He just wants to do what he wants. And I was just an obstacle to that. Being suddenly told to split because you have a mistress. It's going to still cost a lot for our daughter, you know? I'm a housewife, how am I supposed to live? What, you thought I was a money tree? You chose to be a housewife. I never complained, and you should be grateful that I provided for you until now. That's too much, Bringing your mistress suddenly and saying we should divorce because she's pregnant is just cruel. That's so irresponsible. Say whatever you want. You wouldn't understand my feelings anyway. My feelings? Is it just that I wanted to marry into money? After all, I finally caught a luxury ship, so you're telling me not to let go of that ticket. But I couldn't forgive Jason's selfishness. My face must have been twisted in ugliness. At that moment, the woman spoke. I'll properly pay you child support. If you want, I can give you as much as you desire. So sign the divorce papers. She was pushing for a divorce with money talking. Is this woman really better? When I pointed at his woman and said that, his mistress laughed out loud. A poor person like you could never make him happy. He can only be happy by becoming my husband. Money isn't everything. People without money lose to those who have it. Tears of frustration flowed. But Jason chose Evelyn because of money. He's willing to throw away 15 years of marriage just because I don't have money. I wouldn't see anything if I stayed with him any longer. All right, I'll divorce. I signed the divorce papers in front of the laughing couple. When they left, I couldn't stand up, thinking about how being without money put me through this. This wasn't just about me, my daughter might go through the same in the future. That thought made me realize I couldn't stay like this. Afterwards, I used this frustration as motivation and lived desperately. Thanks to you divorcing me, I'm enjoying a rich life. Man, having money is great. Being the son-in-law of a CEO, nobody at the company complains. What do you think will happen when I become the CEO's husband? Everyone will respect me. Do you really think that will happen? What? Of course it will. My wife becoming CEO is almost set in stone. I think that's impossible. Why? What would a poor person like you know? You're so poor your brain must be messed up. Because I'm the major shareholder, and I'll oppose it. What? What are you talking about? There's no way you're a major shareholder. You're still a poor person, aren't you? Or are you saying you remarried a rich guy? I haven't remarried. Thanks to you, I've had enough of men. I realized it's much better to live by my own strength. For that, I am grateful. A single woman who didn't marry into wealth, how could you become the major shareholder of our company? It's an impossible story. Listen, shares of our company cost several $100,000 each. How could a poor person like you afford such shares? It's not something an ordinary housewife can buy. You'll just get laughed at if you talk nonsense like that. It would be impossible for an ordinary housewife. I laughed mockingly at Jason, who seemed oblivious. You still don't get it, do you? You don't understand things. Stocks like ours aren't easy to buy. If they were cheap, it might be different, but shares of a major corporation like ours aren't cheap. That's what you think. I think you're the one who doesn't know anything. You were crying and didn't want to divorce me 10 years ago. You're not over me and are delusional because we met again. It's sad. But really, you should move on. I'm not coming back to you. Don't worry. I don't feel anything for you anymore. You might end up hurting yourself by overestimating your worth. That's rude. I'm about to become the CEO's husband. So what? Do you really think you'll become the CEO's husband? I don't see how you can be happy about it. Shut up. I'm happy to be the support behind my talented wife. Well, good for you. It doesn't concern me anymore. Aren't you worried about how your daughter is doing? What? My daughter? It's been 10 years since we split. Why would I care? She's practically a stranger now. That's cold-hearted. I have a son now. He's only 10 years old, but he'll be the future CEO of this company. I don't want a poor daughter dragging him down just because they're half-siblings and might use the blood relation to pull his legs later. Well, if that's how it is, I'll proceed without hesitation. At that moment, a clerk came over and handed me a small paper bag. When I took it, Jason exclaimed in surprise. You bought it? Yes, I didn't know you worked here. Thanks for that. I never thought you'd buy anything. I figured you were just here for window shopping. So, who's the gift for? Surely not for yourself. For my daughter. It's a celebration for her engagement. That's wonderful, but it's a pity if it's cheap. But the most you could afford would be around $2,000, right? Our store doesn't handle anything cheaper than that. Wouldn't it have been better to buy something cheaper from another store? Well, maybe $60,000 was too cheap, huh? What? Yes. Maybe for the daughter of the CEO of RNL, something more expensive would have been better. What are you talking about? What's the matter? RNL is a major brand manufacturer. And you say the daughter of its CEO? That's right. Oh, I see. You're trying to fool me. You know, I can easily find out how much you purchased. $60,000? You're stretching the truth too far. You think it's just a pretense? Of course. You've been raising your child alone since our divorce. There's no way you could afford that. Coming to such a high-end jewelry store, that's just delusional. Well, whatever you think doesn't really matter to me. Anyway, what kind of connection do you have with them? Oh, maybe you adopted your daughter to become the adopted daughter of someone at RNL? And you're just the nanny? No, even then, if they were going to adopt, they'd prefer a boy. Still, there's no way you and RNL are connected. And now you claim to be the CEO's daughter? Really shooting for the stars, aren't you? Think whatever you want. What someone like you thinks doesn't bother me in the slightest. Yeah, right. Then, Jason asked a passing clerk how much I had spent and what I bought. When he heard it was a $60,000 necklace, he yelled, "No way! How could you afford that?" Keep it down. Is the customer service here always this bad? Or is it just you? There's no way you could afford it. If you doubt it so much, why don't you look up who the CEO is online? The photo is there. Oh, yes. Wait here. I'll look it up right now. No need to wait. I'm not that free. Bye. With that, I left the store, leaving Jason to check his phone with a changed expression. A few days later, while I was handling business in the CEO's office of my own company, I received a phone call. The caller was my secretary, who sounded confused. He told me that a man named Jason, claiming to be my ex-husband, had called. Since no one at the company knew I had ever been married, of course, they were confused. When I was instructed to connect with me, I soon heard Jason's voice. Hey! Are you really the CEO of RNL? It seemed he had found out. Yes, I am. How come? RNL is a top company in the industry. Why are you its CEO? Did you see who founded it? What? You haven't seen it. I'm the founder. You founded it? Yes. In a way, it's all thanks to you. What do you mean? When we divorced, you ridiculed me for being poor. Your wealthy girlfriend used her money to take you away. That time, I really felt how awful it is to be without money. I thought if I remained poor, my daughter would also struggle with money in the future. So, I worked hard. But to lead a top industry company? Oh, thank you. How could you create such a company? I hated being poor, so I decided to do something on my own. I thought about what I could do, and I started with design. I've always liked crafting small items. When I sold them under my own brand, it was a big hit. It rocketed to the top of the industry within a few years. So, you had that talent? Yes, I even design jewelry now. I'm so busy with requests from people who want my designs. That's crazy! I know, it's unbelievable. You never know what life will bring. You're the CEO of RNL. Thanks to you, I was able to buy shares in your company. Why did you buy shares in our company? You're such a big company, you don't need our shares. That's right. Honestly, I wasn't interested in your company since it's been on the decline. But I ended up buying shares anyway. Why did that happen? If you weren't interested, there was no need to buy. Well, I have a business relationship with your current CEO. He told me sales were down and they were struggling. It sounded like they were having a tough time managing funds. He's a good guy, so I wanted to help him out. And you bought shares because of that? It wasn't supposed to happen, but after talking several times, the CEO asked me to buy shares. If it could save them, I thought I might as well buy. And since then, I've been buying shares every year. That's how I ended up becoming the major shareholder. On purpose? What? You did it on purpose. What are you talking about? You bought our shares to get revenge on me, didn't you? I hadn't thought of that at all. I had even forgotten that you worked there until we met again. Until we met? Yes. Until we met, I had forgotten all about you. You really didn't matter to me. Revenge is something you do when you can't forget the resentment because you're suffering. But I'm too busy for that. I have so many employees worldwide, personal grudges are the last thing on my mind. I have to look after my employees' livelihoods. Then why? Becoming the major shareholder was purely to help the CEO. But things have changed a bit since I met you again. What do you mean? After seeing your rude behavior recently, all the unpleasant memories came flooding back. I thought, if you're going to say such things, I might as well settle everything from the past. You can't be serious. Are you really planning to stop Evelyn's appointment as CEO at the shareholders' meeting? If she's going to be CEO, then yes, I'll stop it. That's just... Evelyn has been working so hard. If you do that, all her efforts will be for nothing. Please, don't interfere. Don't get in her way. I'm not getting in her way. I just can't approve of her becoming CEO. There's no need to do that. If we hadn't met again, or even if we had and you hadn't been rude, I wouldn't have thought of doing this. Stop. If you do this, I'll be next. Maybe you should try becoming the major shareholder of my company? The major shareholder of RNL? Yes. If you're the major shareholder, you can make demands, even push through unlikely proposals. But, just so you know, one share of my company costs millions. That much? Of course. I've worked hard to get to the top of the industry. I didn't rely on someone's power. I built everything myself. And your daughter, who you said could never be CEO, will eventually succeed me. My daughter will be the CEO of RNL? Yes, and soon your company will be a subsidiary of RNL. What? Why would that happen? The current CEO said so. He mentioned they can't improve performance and are considering selling the company. They're considering a sell-off. Yes, it'll probably happen soon. No way. Then I'll buy it. So, you're saying you're interested in our company after all? No, I wasn't interested at all. But who knows what could happen if some random person bought it? The worst-case scenario is layoffs for all employees. That would be tragic, wouldn't it? If you resent me, just leave me alone. My wife has been working hard. She was so happy about finally becoming CEO. I hope your wife can improve performance. But that won't happen since I won't let her become CEO. That's why I'm asking you to stop. My wife has the talent and the strength. Having talent and strength doesn't erase the past. I'm busy, so I'm hanging up now. I said that and then hung up the phone. Half a year passed without incident. Jason's company seemed to be continuing somehow, and as a shareholder, I kept a watchful eye. But then Jason came to my company. My wife can't become CEO. I asked you to stop. Why are you interfering like this? Huh? I haven't done anything. That can't be. The current CEO told my wife that her becoming CEO was postponed. Look, there hasn't even been a shareholders meeting, so how can you say I did it? Isn't that something the CEO decided? No way. The CEO said he'd pass it to my wife. And suddenly, he's postponing her appointment? That's weird, isn't it? I don't know anything about it. I haven't done anything. My wife was supposed to become CEO. How old is your wife? 35. At that age, it's impossible for her to turn your company around. What did you say? Do you even understand your own company's situation? Of course. Our company is popular even among wealthy conglomerates. Rich folks love buying from us. Knowing that doesn't help if you aren't looking at the sales trends properly. I don't need to look at that to know how much we sell. If you really understood, wouldn't you see the CEO's point of view? You should look at the bigger picture, not just your own store. What? See? You don't understand anything, that's why you can say such things. What do you mean? Your company's sales are on a downward trend. A 35-year-old daughter taking over as CEO won't be able to withstand the current conditions. It's that tough. How can that be? My wife has the strength to overcome anything. Telling me doesn't help. It was your company's CEO who decided that. This means the company is headed for bankruptcy, doesn't it? Bankruptcy? Yes, the CEO brought up the possibility of selling off the company. Selling off? I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe they didn't tell you because it wouldn't make sense to consult someone like you. It shows how little you're valued. I'm not trusted, then. You're not worth trusting. You don't understand anything about the company. If they really relied on you, they wouldn't just keep you at a store. That's because of staff shortages. No matter the shortage, they would keep someone who could be the CEO's right-hand man at the headquarters. If I were in their shoes, I'd want such a person close by. So, your company is going to buy us out? Yes, I intend to buy it. And when that happens, I plan to fire your wife. Why would you do that? It would be difficult for her to work under her husband's ex-wife as the CEO, right? That's why I'll fire her. There's no need for that. She'll be fine. After all, we haven't been in contact for over 10 years. Maybe, but your wife will surely feel insecure. People get more anxious the more they love, right? So, of course, I'll fire you too. Me too. Yes. I don't want any misunderstandings. That's ridiculous. If both of us get fired, we won't be able to live. Isn't that too cruel? But you're not useful, and she's part of the management team. I don't want to keep people like that around. No, don't think like that. Someone who knows the job should be the CEO. My wife would be perfect for it. She's capable and hardworking, and someone like her as CEO would surely make the company successful. If she stays as CEO, you'd be secure too, wouldn't you? Well, honestly, yes. It's better for our financial situation if my capable wife stays rather than me. Please, use her as the CEO. I'm fine with being let go in exchange. Well, if she becomes part of our company, she could indeed increase sales. After all, we'll be selling our products there, changing the way things are done, and our customers will follow. Then there's no problem. Please make her the CEO. Even if the company isn't hers, becoming CEO would raise her salary. Do you really want her to be CEO that badly? Of course. It's been her dream. You really are a devoted husband. That I am. Well, there's one condition. A condition? What is it? I'll do anything you ask. It's something only you can do. What is it? Get a divorce. What? If you get a divorce, I'll make her the CEO. Why would it come to that? Poor people lose to those with money. Remember, you said that when we divorced. Essentially, someone wealthy like me becomes the absolute winner. It's natural for someone poor like you to lose. That's why. But that's... By the way, the CEO said if you agree to a divorce, he wouldn't mind making your daughter Evelyn the CEO. Evelyn would hate that. Well, I've been in contact with Evelyn too. She actually wanted to make you CEO, and that was why she married you. But you turned out to be useless. A complete failure. If she can cut ties with such an incompetent man through a divorce, it would be easy for her. She seems to think we'd get along well. That's absurd. Sorry, but in the end, you're the only one who will be fired. A useless poor man. Jason was shocked and left the CEO's office. Afterwards, the jewelry store became a subsidiary of R&L, and Jason's ex-wife became the CEO. Jason, intending to fire and divorce Evelyn, decided to keep her as the lowest-ranked salesperson instead. His poor customer service attitude and his demeanor as the CEO's son-in-law had backfired, causing the staff to treat him harshly. Consequently, he lost his place there and resigned voluntarily. However, that year's audit revealed something shocking. Jason had been embezzling. It was rumored that he had resigned voluntarily before the embezzlement was exposed, but I investigated his whereabouts and threatened him with criminal prosecution unless he repaid the embezzled amount. Being a coward, he agreed to repay. However, having lost his job, he struggled to make repayments. He tried to borrow money from his ex-wife Evelyn, but she ignored him, and he ended up borrowing from a consumer finance company. The debt accrued interest, worsening his situation. Desperate to cut costs, he moved into an incredibly cheap room and worked at a factory while taking on night shifts, slowly repaying the debt month by month. Yet, there's no end in sight for when he can fully repay. His current lifestyle is tough, and recent photos show him emaciated and staggering. Meanwhile, by placing R&L's brand products in the jewelry store, I've significantly boosted its performance. Thanks to that, the company has grown tremendously, and my daughter, who has married and moved away, has recently announced her pregnancy. Seeing my daughter's happy face makes me feel joyful. I can only pray that this happiness lasts